Hey folks, Mike Johnson here. If it's got wheels and an engine, you're in the right place. On this channel, we dive into car repairs, maintenance tips, and everything you need to keep your ride running smooth. If you're into cars and want to keep learning, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. All right, enough talking. Let's get into it.
Transmission slippage can be a major problem, especially for automatic cars and less so for manual transmissions. If your car is showing signs of slippage, you need to get it sorted quickly. What may start out as a small problem can easily turn into a bigger one later, costing even more money to repair. Slippage doesn't necessarily mean that your transmission is close to failure, but it does indicate that maintenance is strongly required. For automatics, there can be many different causes, while for manuals, the problem is often associated with the clutch. Here are the common causes of a slipping transmission and how to fix it yourself. Transmission slippage symptoms. While diagnosing slippage isn't always easy, there are some common signs you should look for. Signs of slippage can appear in many forms when you're driving. Signs include high RPM, over 3,500, delays in acceleration, inability to reverse, unusual or burnt smells, engine starting, difficulty. Shifting gears produce severe response or strange noises. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms, your car is probably showing signs of slippage. There are a handful of possible causes for this, and if you can find the exact reason soon, you have the opportunity to repair it without further damage to the transmission. Common causes of transmission slippage are 1. Low fluid content. The most common cause of slippage is low fluid levels. Low fluid levels can create a number of problems, such as overheating and not enough hydraulic pressure to produce gears. The best way to find out if you have a low fluid level is to check the fluid you can read about below. If so, you'll need to add more fluid for the gears to engage properly, although low fluid levels can also indicate a transmission fluid leak. 2. Burnt or ineffective fluid. Burnt fluid can be distinguished by the smell of burnt toast or a black color. Burnt fluid occurs due to overheating, which means you'll need to change the transmission fluid quickly, or have it examined by a specialist to diagnose further damage. Inefficient fluid is similar to burnt fluid in that it has lost its effectiveness, but this is often due to too many contaminants, or simply normal wear and tear. Although this doesn't always mean transmission problems, a fluid change must be made to stop slippage. Burnt and inefficient fluids can be tested by checking the fluid. 3. Transmission fluid leakage. If you encounter low fluid levels, this could indicate a transmission fluid leak and transmission slippage is likely to occur. A leak can occur anywhere, such as a leak in the pan, broken fluid lines, a worn seal, a crack in the torque converter or faulty seals. Continuing to run your car with a leak can cause serious internal damage, and you need to seal quickly. Check under your car and on your driveway for any signs of leaks. Seal leaks can be eliminated with special friction-modifying additives. 4. Worn or broken transmission belts. Sometimes, transmission bands can be worn or broken, which can cause transmission slippage. Not to mention engine problems or worn gears. Bands are what connect the gears in the automatic transmission, so they can't be overlooked. To remedy this problem, you simply need the defective band replaced or adjusted, although Lucas Transmission Fix helps to renew worn transmission bands. 5. Clutch problems. Both automatic and manual transmissions use clutches. Automatics have clutch plates all along the transmission and in the torque converter, which can be worn or burnt out by inadequate transmission fluid. You'll need to replace them as soon as possible, and change the fluid. For manual transmissions, clutch problems are the most common cause of transmission slippage, which is the culprit 90% of the time. The remaining 10% being leaks. Worn clutches that have become too thin occur the most, while clutch failures and poor clutch adjustment are rare, but do occur. Normally, a clutch disc will last between 20k and 200k miles, so you'll need to be replaced or worn out. 6. Worn out equipment. Over time, gear can wear out, due to normal wear and tear or a malfunction of some kind. Worn or frayed gears don't bind properly and why they need to be replaced. Solenoid problems. The solenoid is an electrohydraulic valve, and its function is to control fluid flow throughout your transmission. Any damage or electronic problems can result in the wrong amounts of fluid being dispersed. If you've ever checked for low fluid or leaks, the solenoid would be your next suspect. You can check if this is the problem by plugging a scanner into your car's computer. If the solenoid is the problem, you'll need to repair or replace it. You can read more about transmission solenoids. Torque converter problems. Torque converters are what adapt the engine's power into the torque the transmission can use, and sometimes they can develop problems. Fluid flows through the torque converter, so if it fails to do so, your transmission will feel funny and transmission slippage is often a symptom. This can be more difficult to repair and will need to be investigated by a technician. You can read more about torque conversion problems. How to repair transmission slippage. You can solve transmission slippage if it's simply weak fluid, burnt or inefficient fluid, or transmission leaks. This will often require you to check the fluid, change the fluid or repair the transmission leak, although these procedures don't require much experience with cars. On the other hand, problems such as replacing or adjusting clutches, replacing or adjusting bands and replacing gears will require you to dismantle the transmission and know where the parts are. These procedures are complicated to explain and will require experience with cars. If you're a novice with transmissions, it's best to have them done by an expert. The rest, like solenoid converter or torque converter problems that cause transmission slippage, are best repaired by a professional mechanic. But for simple problems, we'll briefly explain the process and you can read the full tutorial later. Low fluid content. What you'll need: a specific transmission fluid, a funnel the process, a low fluid level, transmission repair guy. Start the car to warm up the transmission fluid. Slide off the hood and remove the transmission dipstick. Make sure the fluid is between the two marks on the dipstick, which are usually labeled complete and add or something similar. If the level is below the lower line, you'll need to add more specific fluid through the transmission reservoir via a funnel. Make sure you don't overfill. If the level is significantly low, this could indicate a leak. Check again for transmission slippage. Burnt or ineffective fluid. What you'll need: a specific transmission fluid, access ramps or valet ramps with floor plug, specific transmission filter, drip pan or fluid container, drip pan wrench or torque wrench, a funnel, clean cloths, new gasket, optional, the process, check the transmission fluid or dirty transmission fluid for one that is dark brown with particles or a black with a burnt smell. If either is present, raise the car on racks or ramps and warm up your car. Drain the fluid into a pan or container and remove the transmission pan. Thoroughly clean the pan and magnet. Replace the filter. Replace the gasket if it's old and worn, and return the cassette to the gearbox. Add new transmission fluid by measuring the old fluid you drained. Check again for transmission slippage. Transmission fluid leak. What you'll need: access ramps or valet ramps with floor plug, specific transmission fluid, a funnel depending on the cause of the leak, a new gearbox, bolts, gaskets, drain plug, gasket, or cooling lines and hose clips. Drip pan or fluid container, the process, identify cause of leak, check common areas. Determine if the leak can be repaired or taken to a mechanic. Gather the supplies and tools you'll need. Drain the liquid into a pan or container. Depending on the problem, solve it by following the procedure. Replace the gasket if it's old and worn, and return the cassette to the gearbox. Add new transmission fluid by measuring the old fluid you drained. Recheck for leaks and transmission slippage. How to prevent transmission slippage. To prevent your transmission from slipping, you need to regularly maintain your vehicle. This means checking the fluid often for signs of problems, such as leaks, weak, dirty or burnt fluid. Any of these signs can lead to transmission slippage, so check the fluid once a month to avoid this. You should also get transmission fluid with a filter change every 30,000 miles or 2 years, whichever comes first. This ensures that the transmission is always running on fluid at the top tip. Remember, low fluid levels, burnt or dirty fluid and transmission leaks are the most common causes of transmission slippage. So, if you make sure none of these occur, you can avoid slippage most of the time. In conclusion, understanding transmission slippage is crucial for maintaining your vehicle's performance. By recognizing the common causes, such as low fluid levels, worn components, or faulty sensors, you can take proactive steps to address the issue. Remember, while some fixes can be tackled as DIY projects, others may require professional assistance. Always prioritize safety and consult a mechanic if you're unsure. With the right knowledge and tools, you can keep your transmission running smoothly and extend the life of your vehicle. Thank you for watching, and drive safely.